Hello, hello, boys and girls. I'm coming to you from a hotel ballroom in the Jersey Shore. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissy Mayer podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, go ahead and leave a 5-star review, please and thank you. Really quick plug for me. This Tuesday, tomorrow, I'm going to be headlining Jinx on the boardwalk here at the Jersey Shore in Point Pleasant Beach. So it's tomorrow, and I believe the show starts at like 8 or 8:30. I should know. I'm going to tweet about it. Check my Twitter, check my website, chrissymayer.com for details and tickets. And quick shout out to our sponsor, Cushy Dreams. They are my go-to for all things CBD related. Cushy Dreams has an exquisite line of CBD products. They sell high quality CBD bud in the tins and also pre-rolled joints. I love them because it helps me relax from my mind to my body. They have different indica sativa blends like hustle, relax, create, dream, energy. So whatever you want to do with your day, Cushy Dreams has you covered. Join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. Best of all, it's grown here in the USA. So go to cushydreams.com. That's KUSHY dreams.com and use promo code CMP at the checkout for 20% off. All right. This is going to be a pretty epic live stream. I'm so excited to have both these ladies here. You all know why one of them's here, but I brought on another gal because I think she has a lot to add, and she is hella smart and has a lot to add to this conversation. You might know her as adult film star Eva Lovia, Candice Horbacz. I mispronounce your name every single time we talk.
Everyone does. It's totally fine. Hello.
And I'm here to do it again. Candice, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for including me.
And the lady of the hour, I don't know why this feels like a roast all of a sudden. I guess I just don't know how else to introduce people. She writes for The Federalist. She's a real estate mogul. She's a patriot. She's smart as hell. Oh, and yeah, and she also happens to be an adult film star. It's Brandi Love.
Hi. So good to see both of you. I'm excited to be here.
You guys are looking great. I look very much like a driver's license photo. I apologize for my setup. So I've had both of you gals on my podcast before, and these themes always keep coming up, the idea. And when I had Brandi on last, we talked about exactly this, that porn stars, adult film stars, get hate from the left and get hate from the right. And if you're an out conservative or Republican adult film star, you get hate from within your own industry. So it's not easy to hold these beliefs. And so here we are with Brandi. This is happened to her in person in real time. So I just wanted to give Brandi the opportunity to explain what happened, how this all went down with what happened at Turning Point USA.
All right, here we go. I'll try to keep it as short as possible so it's not annoying because it's been all over the place. But first of all, thank you for letting me give my side, the truth. Get rid of all the Twitter trolls. My husband and I have friends that were going up to TPUSA. We looked at the lineup and went, oh my God, this is the most incredible lineup of speakers. These are people that we've admired for years. This would be awesome to spend a weekend with like-minded or at least patriotic individuals. Let's go. And I get it now. Apparently that was an extremely naive thought that I could go there and just be a private citizen who bought her ticket to be my adult VIP ticket, mind you, to participate, not participate, just sit there and listen. I wasn't invited. It was a private purchase. I just wanted to go to this event. Picked up the lanyard, of course, used my stage name. It's called Privacy. Here's the funny part. You two might understand that. Why would I put my private name out into the public when it's known who I am? I didn't think about TPUSA, and I didn't even think about it. But here's the funniest part. That lanyard and my name started getting Googled, and there's a porn star at a conservative convention. literally. And I'm thinking to myself, the more I see this, the more I go, how did you guys know who I was? How's this a problem? Do you see what I'm saying? If you're so puritanical and self-righteous, how the hell did you know who Brandi Love was? That was fascinating to me. But I got 3.5 hours out of my VIP adult purchase because I went to the first 3 hours, listened to Charlie Kirk, Dan Bongino. There were several speakers that I got to see, and they were incredible. 3.5 hours of give up things, give up your personal, take your whippings for the conservative movement. All of things I've done. I've been a part of cancel culture. They're preaching it, that they're not that way, and we're big tent, and we're inclusive, and fight the good fight. And I'm sitting there looking at my husband going, yeah, we've done all of those things. And then I got home and they canceled me. I literally had an email saying, we're revoking your lanyard. You are not welcome back. The decision's final. But thankfully at the end it said, but you're welcome to come again in the future. Thanks. I can't make it up. It's out there on Twitter for you to read. And that started the storm. Yeah, that started the storm. And when it comes to the hate, yes, in the beginning it was very much 50-50. You know, right-wing Christian conservatives going, you can't be a conservative. You can't be a Christian. I'm being told by humans what I can and can't be. It's so bizarre. And then you've got the left literally taking the opportunity to poke fun at the Republican Party and at conservatives. And I went into the ring. I put on my gloves and stayed true to who I am. I continue to say the very things I've always said for the past 15 years. And thankfully, there's a lot of sex, drink, and rock and roll conservatives out there who feel as I do, that we just want life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, so the good news is at the end of the day, it looks like we're more at about a 75% are with me and are against what Turning Point USA decided to do to me.
Wow. So you were there for 3.5 hours. And if I'm redundant, it's because my thing cut out and I maybe missed a couple of words that you said. So they didn't make it clear like who was Googling you or like who's precisely like whose idea it was. It was just coming from like Turning Point in general.
Well, it gets weirder. Interestingly, it has come out not by one source, but by multiple sources. And I've heard myself and seen on Twitter myself. You cannot make this up. But apparently there is a white nationalist group who is heavily infiltrated TPUSA. And they had a lot to do with the Twitter attack and exposing TPUSA as having a porn star speaking at the convention.
Wow.
So the way I'm hearing it and putting the puzzle pieces together, it would appear that the higher ups at TPUSA decided to listen to a white nationalist group, which should scare the shit out of all of us.
What was it that you saw that made you connect TPUSA with a white nationalist group? Like, was it a particular?
The list for the last 38 hours on Twitter is extremely revealing. You can pinpoint the individuals who approached it. You can I'm not going to say their name because I won't give them an
more of course, yeah.
They're disgusting in my opinion. So, and trust me, they feel the same about me, but their agenda is a horrifying one. And the fact that an organization like TPUSA would bend knee to them, I don't really know what to say about it.
Who was it that threw you out? Just whatever security guard was around?
Physical removal. There was not a physical. I came in, I sat, I listened. Me and my friends left, and then we went back to the hotel. I opened up my email, and I'm like, oh my god! And I had this weird, those gut feelings when you just know something's going on, intuition. There were a few people that looked at me in a way where I was a little taken aback, but nothing was said, right? But it all plays out. When I replay it, I'm like, it was the, what are we going to do? And they didn't do anything on premises. It was an email that was received after.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, it's good that there was like not a scene created, and it is funny.
I don't know, it might have been fun. Videotaping.
Oh my God, it would have
very interesting.
It would have been like probably very good for you. It would have been like even more press.
I think it's already been good for her. Are you kidding me? I mean, this all happened for you. You know what I mean? I really believe that. I know it sucks because I know the last time that you and I spoke when you were visiting, like you were going through some stuff, right? Just for being who you are and standing up for your beliefs, and then to like be essentially like kicked out of that party that you have sacrificed so much for. It's total bullshit. And then it's like the people, like you said, that do know who you are, like were they also removed? Like if right, like the whole thing, if it's so awful that anyone, you know, experience pleasure, because that's honestly what it is. It's just having like being the gatekeeper of pleasure, then I think all parties then, right? Like that's the only way that it's fair.
You would think, but this again, not all TPUSA. I don't believe that they were all on board with this. I think there's some division happening in there. I believe that that's happening, and I'm not making a blanket statement that they're all psychotic. There is a faction, though. There is definitely a faction of that organization that is so far right wing, and so to me personally terrifying, because basically they want to legalize morality, and that morality is their idea of it. And for me, that's an extremely scary thing, because how do you differentiate that from the Taliban? You want to know what legalizing morality looks like? Go on over there. Go on, hang out in the Middle East and see what happens. And that part is just like, ooh, it has my skin itching, because again, naively walking into what I thought was going to be a really exciting weekend, and then finding out that, like you said, very, very poignantly, is the people that I thought I've been supporting, and whether they had my back or not was okay, but I still believe to just backhand you, just it's really eye-opening.
Especially at a time where you think it would be like all hands on deck, anybody who's not a crazy left winger, like let's all come together and really try to save this country before it's too late. Just a couple things I know that people want to have clarified, because I was just like, there's only so many tweets I can read. So you had your stage name on your tag, which makes sense because you're not going to like out your real name. Right. For people to look up, right? Same people that are back there Googling you are going to be like, oh, like, where does she live? Was this specifically an event for teenagers?
It's funny that they've managed to get that narrative out there. And in one little brief thing, if indeed that is the case, I find it awfully odd that there were bars on premises with alcohol. So let's just clear that up. That I walked through the VIP section and there were beers and cocktails everywhere. So if we're worried about the safety of children, which no, this is not, they are known for being an organization to change college campuses, which is 18 and older. And so were there children attending? Parents took their kids. It's a conference. It's a public held, you buy a ticket, you go. They're making it sound like I was handing out business cards and wearing an OnlyFans t-shirt. That is the most absurd thing I've ever seen. But that's the spin, that I was there somehow promoting my adult business. On the contrary, if you look at any of the photos that have been posted, I was one of the more conservative looking individuals there on purpose. You know what I mean? Time and a place.
You were trying to downplay yourself. Yeah.
I get it, you know? But
that was going to be my next question. Yeah. Were you in any way promoting yourself? Like, I was like, I can't imagine Brandi is out there handing out business cards, but I had to ask just so people.
I've never owned a business card. I mean, it's very bizarre. The only thing that, if you look through my timeline in the beginning, was me excited about the opportunity to attend this event and promoting them and their now I regret it, but their agenda. I thought it was a good thing. I thought this was an incredible organization. It wasn't about, hey, look at me and what I'm doing. Look what I'm going to do. It was, no different than if I was going to the movies or a great rock and roll concert. I mean, that's what Instagram and Twitter are. But I don't have Instagram because they disabled me.
Jeez. Recently?
About a month ago. Yeah.
Yeah. My Instagram
apparently the photo that went against the community standards was me holding my dog. Who knew?
Wow. But Brandi, was your dog wearing any clothes?
2 fur coats, actually.
Wow.
I don't
This
get
is very sad. Yeah.
I didn't get the angle either that they were trying to make it sound like it was an underage event, because even if that was the case, like, are you not allowed on school property because of your career choice? Like, both of us are mothers, so can we not, like, do the carpool? That doesn't make sense. So I don't know why.
You're making a perfect point, and that's the slippery slope. Is when he said that I shouldn't be in attendance because minors were there. I'm like,
I got my mom.
I'm in a hotel. I just walked through the lobby, and somebody under the age of 18 walked by. Should I have to leave?
Yeah.
I can't imagine living in that world, and I can't imagine that they'd suggest we should.
Well, it's kind of the thing that made me think of immediately when I saw, because I was like glued to my phone last night as all this was happening, because I was just like, I was really surprised actually, and maybe that's naivety as well, but it was back when, being gay was really, really frowned upon, and people were very ignorant about it. And they were like, well, he's gay, so he can't be around my children. And you're like, what does that has not, they're not related. How are you connecting these dots? Like, that's such a gross connection that you're coming up with.
It's a big jump.
Nothing.
It's a big jump for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. The chat is like fuming. Same thing. You're there to kind of like in support of the country and, kind of anti-socialist and, anti everything we're trying to fight. And I don't think like we were all 17, 18 years old once. Like, I think if our parents had brought us to a conference, like, even if you are an 18-year-old who watches porn, like you're just not going to be in that frame of mind. If you're there with your family and you're at like, okay, maybe somebody would recognize you, but it's not like, oh, let me leave this talk to go Google Brandi some more and like go jerk off to her in the lobby. I mean, like you're kind of, that's even if they recognize you.
Well, they made it sound like I had a booth, like I was an exhibitor and that I was promoting my adult activities. And I'm just like,
wow.
I mean, seriously, some of the lies were just so, one woman comes on there and she's just like, she was promoting it on her filthy Twitter account. Just look at it. And then her very next comment was, but she's cashing in. And I'm like, so not only do you spew lies and you're too lazy to look up the facts, you're now my CPA? You're watching the money? I mean, because wow, you know something I don't. It's just bizarre.
Here's the thing too. Here's what I like. I hate so much about this, but like, let's say Brandi, you'd been on the fence about quitting porn for years, months now, right? And you're going to a Turning Point event, and it's maybe you have a process where you're like, I do want to get out of this. Maybe you do want to like change your life to suit more a conservative Christian way. Like, and then like, you know what I mean? They throw you out. Like, who knows? For all they know, you could have been like turning over to their side, and they just, you know what I mean, kicked you out of perhaps pursuing that path. It's like, I think this mindset is not good, because if that's what you're sort of pushing, like, oh, like porn is horrible, you should come our way. Maybe there's a world where maybe you were going to come their way and they've just kicked you out,
But I feel like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you first.
Oh, I was going to say, like, I feel that that's such a hypocritical statement, even if that was the case or that was the agenda, right? Is like, she's going to reform. Like, the main narrative that we see when the conservative talking heads criticize the left is that it's like, so it's almost religious based, like the wokeness is in the new religion is what they're saying. And if you don't agree that down the line with our ideology, then we're going to say that you're divergent and you can't be part of our group. So how is that any different, right? If you agree down the line on every single topic, that is like almost a clear sign that you've done zero research or thinking for yourself. So just because she agrees down the line with pretty much, I don't want to speak for her beliefs, but like from what I've seen, a lot of conservative talking points, just because she's more sexually liberal, how dare you say what she's allowed to believe and what her principles are?
Yeah,
you're exactly right. And I think the biggest issue that the Republican Party and quite frankly Christianity are suffering from right now is what both of you have just brought up, is that you're supposed to welcome people with open arms. We're supposed to be non-judgmental, remove the plank before you stick it in somebody else's eye kind of thing. What are we doing here when all of us are sinners and we come to you for that forgiveness and this redemption, and you just stab us and basically say, Well, the only way you get into our club is if you're perfect, and perfect is thinking, acting, and talking like we do. In what crazy mindset is that Christianity or the Republican Party? And if it is, they're not going to grow. Their gospel gets squashed immediately, and nobody wants to be a part of it. A small percentage. There will be those who do, but quite frankly, it should be the opposite way. But unfortunately, I saw firsthand some horrifying truths.
And I'm sure it didn't feel good. Like you were saying, you were getting a gut feeling like, people were whispering and like talking behind your back or whatever. And that's what is so annoying. It's like you weren't hired. A turning point is not compromised by your attending this event in any way, shape, or form. You were not hired to talk there. You were not promoting yourself in any way. You were not like given a VIP ticket. You bought a ticket like every other paying customer. If anything, you're a customer like everyone else. You're a supporter like everyone else. And exactly, how do they know like who's sinned and who hasn't? Like, come on, I'm sure if they were going to go through everybody with a fine tooth comb, you wouldn't be the most scandalous person there.
Well, again, maybe it's just my opinion. I don't want to speak for others, but a conservative porn star is there. Now, mind you, that's my job, not who I am. I'm a lot of other things as well. So the closed-minded nature of somebody who jumps from human to porn star, oh, she doesn't count. Oh, what do you even say about that mentality? But the fact that they kicked me out and not the white nationalists, that's a problem. So again, let's think about who they consider allowed to stay and not allowed to stay. I have a huge problem with that.
What do you think was like the youngest looking person? Like, how old would you say is like the youngest looking person you saw there?
Well, first of all, to be completely honest, I wasn't there to look around at what was there. I was very focused on just listening to the speakers. I didn't approach anybody. I was with my husband and our friend. We had our own thing going on there. So we went right to the VIP section, which was all adult. They were adult VIP tickets. You had to pay a lot of money to sit in that section. So what was going on the other half of the room, if I were to guesstimate, everybody to me looked my age or certainly of college age. Were their parents there with under 18? Maybe, probably. They were there with their college students. I don't know. But again, anytime somebody starts bringing that up, I'm like, why? Where are we going with this? Are you trying to suggest that my sheer presence in public where there could be a child, what is it you think I'm going to do? Can something jump off of me and infect them? I mean, I don't even understand where their brains go to do something like this. And quite frankly, if that's the case, we shouldn't allow politicians in the room with people because they can affect people with things. It's just, you know what I mean? Where does that go?
I trust you more than most politicians. It's there's a couple of questions in the chat. Let me see here. I guess this is related. Really quick? Oh, yeah, sure.
So I'm sure you saw it. So Lauren Chen always has an opinion. And she was like, you can't be conservative and a porn star, essentially, right? Like she's just a hater in general. She just hates on everybody. But
she's certainly full of herself and thinks that she can make these decisions.
For sure. She's the gatekeeper of all that's right. So I want to know your opinion. Like, so what's the difference between being like a Republican and being a conservative, and then I guess as like a third option, a libertarian?
Well, first of all, being a two-party system, you basically either choose Republican, Democrat, or, in our lifetime, libertarian. And unfortunately, the reality is libertarians, even if they're great people, rarely make it simply due to lack of finances to be able to promote themselves in the governmental environment, in the election environment. I was raised in a fairly conservative home. Again, I'm struggling with what that word means as we're speaking because of the last several hours. But I grew up in a home that believed in America's the greatest country, that we were lucky to live here because of the freedoms and the liberties that we were provided and that are God-given. And the older I get, the more important those core values become. And, you know, I've never been shy about this. When I was young, I voted for Bill Clinton. When I hit that age, though, that early 20s, it was, you know, pros and cons. You wrote down the list. I'm like, right now I actually have more in common with this guy. I'm going to give it a try. And to this day, I would still vote for the best candidate. But I do believe in more politically conservative policies. I believe that they're better for most Americans. Nothing's great for everybody, but I do like the limited government. I do like individual freedoms, and those things have typically been found in the Republican Party. I never had an issue with classic Democrats. I have a huge issue with progressive liberals. There are no, the Democratic Party, in my opinion, has been hijacked. That said, so has the Republican Party. So I don't know really where we're left anymore. All I can tell you is that my core values and what I believe about the United States, and I'm more of a constitutionalist today than anything. I can drop all the other terms.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to use it just to piss off certain people.
I'm glad, Candice, that you brought up Lauren Chen, because she had so many tweets. I wasn't even sure which one to bring up. But this one here, I think, speaks to kind of like the limiting, closed-minded mindset of what she thinks the conservative party is. Conservatives were told to distance themselves from nationalist Christianity, populist, anti-Zionist, America First. But now that a porn star was kicked out of a teen event, first of all, I guess she's wrong for saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. Apparently conservatism is, quote, for everyone. She did have a lot of tweets. It was hard to like pick which one. And that's the thing. I mean, it must get exhausting having to, kick so many people out of your club. There's so many shouldn't they be trying to, I don't know, warm up to people that maybe are kind of politically homeless, that are maybe, shouldn't the main goal be like, okay, there's a greater kind of enemy here. It's like you said, no like 18-year-old or 60-year-old is going to, by proxy, become addicted to porn and, waste their lives away jerking off in their room. It's like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who is around your kids, grown adult children, middle-aged men. It comes down to the parents. And when you're an adult, what you choose, like every other vice, alcohol, whatever you choose to like indulge in, it comes down to the individual. And if you're someone who is like addicted to any of the vices, well, that's on you to fix those unhealthy patterns. It's like, it shouldn't be on them to, let's kick Brandi out. Well, guess what? What that doesn't do? That doesn't fix the problem of people who are addicted to porn, and they throw their money, lives, whatever, cheat on their wife. It's like, you're obviously the scapegoat. Kicking you out doesn't solve any problems.
No, it doesn't. And people like Chen just, in my opinion, come across extremely insecure. Mm-hmm. I don't care what she does after hours. I don't care what she does for a living. I care more about the authenticity of the person. Who are you really? Mm-hmm. But somebody who comes onto Twitter and just trolls people that, has she met me? Has she talked to me? Has she bothered to go over the fact that my profession is XYZ? No. So what are we supposed to think of somebody like that makes a rash judgment and starts telling somebody who they can be or can't be because of this? I'm an and kind of person. I'm not an or. I'm not a porn star or a mom or a friend or a daughter or a realtor. I am all of those things. I like the and. Somebody like her? No, you're this or that. That's it. I mean, that's kind of authoritative. Who do you think you are? Nobody voted for you. It's a really bizarre mentality.
Yeah, it's like you don't get a prize for being the most perfect whatever. You don't get a prize for being like the most perfect conservative, the most perfect Christian conservative, the most perfect Republican. Thing. There's no such thing. There's only like the virtue signaling. Yeah, you get points, you get likes on Twitter,
As they go home and jerk off to me and Candice. So sorry, you guys.
And me too. No.
Oh yeah, where can I find that?
Oh my
video?
God. I had some guy send me some nudes. Like he had like, it was a lot. He was a fan. I was flattered. But then he had like his penis was out with like like glasses on top of it. And I'm like, this is too much. I was like, I don't know if being a public figure is right for me.
Too late, sweetie. Too late.
Oh my God, too late. Okay, a couple of questions in the chat. John Sachaki, I wish you guys had names I could pronounce. What are your thoughts on Ron Paul type libertarianism and or Jordan Peterson and classical liberalism? I guess this is to all of us. Yeah, I resonate with these two guys way more. It to me, it just seems like common sense. Like I love Jordan Peterson because he's all about self-responsibility. Like make your own bed first before you criticize somebody else's messy room. Ron Paul is just a boss. He's probably like one of the bravest politicians I've seen in my lifetime. But I mean, maybe I haven't been paying attention much other than the last 5 years. But I both love these guys, and to me, they're more about inclusion rather than exclusion. So I'm a fan of them both, and I probably would still, classify myself as like a, classical liberal. But now it's like it's hard to say that because what being a liberal is become so radical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fell into the trap of giving myself a label like probably last year or the years before, and I'm like I identify as this political party, and then like the more I realized just from getting enough shit from everyone on social media, I was like, well, I don't agree with all these things that you're accusing me of. So maybe like putting that label on there isn't doing anyone a service, right? It's like, let's tackle each individual issue, and then I can give you my opinion on that, because it's going to fall on both sides and maybe sometimes on neither. I definitely would probably side more with like Ron Paul's style libertarianism, right? Like respecting freedom and not imposing on other people's, basically like just leave me the heck alone and I'll leave you the heck alone. And like that's kind of the best model. I think Peterson obviously is brilliant and he has a lot of value. I do find him to be I wouldn't put him in the inclusive bucket for sure, because he definitely has his opinions on a lot of things and he's very conservative, I'm pretty sure, when it comes to like sexual topics.
And pronouns for sure. Yeah, like all the trans stuff that he became ultimately like blew up over.
Yeah. So I'm not like in love with Peterson. I think I respect a lot of his work. I think he does have a lot of value. But yeah, I would put myself more in like the libertarian bucket if I had to pick a bucket.
If I had to pick a bucket too, that would be my bucket. Mm-hmm. I'm all for leaving people alone. Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that. Right now, all the buckets to me look like they're full of shit. So I'm currently struggling with. I'm with you, Candice. I still consider myself politically conservative. This socially conservative argument, whatever, that's fine. To me, it's subjective. The fact that 80% of my views align with you guys, both politically and socially, that 1% or whatever, that 10% that doesn't, the fact that you're going to throw me out, that's where I'm struggling, going, wow. So we can have all of these things in common, but one, and you're going to throw me out. So now I'm faced with that reality going, do I want to support a party that does that? Now, that said, and I've been taking hate for long enough, I'm not going to change now. I'm a MAGA girl, love him or hate orange guy who's got crazy, wicked tweets and says it like it is. I don't care. I'm not his buddy. I'm not his friend. I don't have lunch with him. I want my country safe. I want it prosperous. And I want everybody to be able to live free. So anybody who comes up, regardless of their D or their R or their L in front of their name, if you can do that, I'm going to look at you.
And I hate to hear your frustration, Brandi. Like that's such a perfect phrase. Like every bucket is kind of full of shit. And I'm sure, and you found from, like you said, about 75% support and 25% haters. That's really huge. Good. And although you had a bad experience with Turning Point, it's like that shouldn't define everybody. And it sucks. It's definitely left it's definitely a bit of a stain on the community or whatever, but it is comforting to see that, through all the tweets that you've been seeing, a way majority of support than haters here. Another question from Middle Age Crazy. I think the current I love my fans. I think the current battle is authoritarian left versus individual liberty. Yes. We should welcome anyone wanting to stand with us. We have a country to try to save.
I agree.
That's perfect. Perfectly sums it up. It's like, okay, yeah, this to me would be like a small, tiny battle. This shouldn't even be a battle, but like compared to the other stuff going on, this should not be.
You think we got more important things to deal with?
But maybe ultimately this is good. Like maybe this shining a light on you being kicked out is making everybody, a lot of folks come together. The majority, I would say. I think the minority are the ones that are like, no, she should get her conservative title taken away. Most people are like, all right, okay. Not everybody has what you consider like the perfect. Again, you're not your job. You shouldn't be defined by how you make money. And like he said, like, you know, we have bigger problems here. Okay, question from Fred Sacco. Groupthink on both sides makes my brain hurt. Keep doing what you're doing, Brandi. People are dumb.
I'm afraid you're right, Fred, and thank you for the support. I think that is a huge problem in this country right now is low IQ. We need to educate ourselves. We need to read. We need to be engaged. We need to get information from multiple places. Something that I feel has been lacking for a while now, and we're feeling it now, is critical think. People don't seem to have the capacity to think critically and put pieces together and make sense of it. They come to these really rash judgments, and that's it. They're done. They don't dig any deeper, and that's not the era that I'm from. That's so bizarre to me. I don't understand.
Yeah, and if they were trying to not draw, you know, get you out of there so that
that didn't work.
You don't make a scene and you don't like tempt some 18-year-old or you don't tempt some 35-year-old. It's like, yeah, they've actually done it the reverse. They've actually brought way more attention to it. So
I don't think it's what they intended, but they apparently, for those who knew who I was from one stance, certainly didn't understand who I was as a person. And that's the mistake they made. If they thought I was just going to walk away with my tail tucked in some sort of shame, they pegged me wrong. Oops, I shouldn't have said it that way.
They pegged you wrong. There's only one way to peg Brandi Love, and we all know what that is. God, that was great. It's perfect. All the porn puns we can do, the better, I think. Question from Brian. Oh, I know this guy. This sounds like a Bush and Romney conservatives doing this crap. Trump supporters wouldn't care what you do. I think I agree.
Interestingly, that is a general truth. Again, there are going to be those that don't see why they should feel that way. And again, the critical thinking is, but that is a very good statement. And I think that's mostly true. Wow.
It's just so funny. Like the last time we talked, it was like, yep, you get hate from the left because they're like, you're servicing the patriarchy. And then the Christian right hates you and people in your own group. Like, I'm sure you both can speak on this. Like, what sort of blowback or hate have you gotten just within your own industry? Like, how hard do you feel like it is to hold these views, to be out with your views in what is similar to comedy, a very kind of default lefty liberal industry?
Oh, so if you are not like wildly progressive to the point where I would say it's like dangerous, then you're definitely an outlier in the industry. And then all of a sudden they give you every negative label, like you're this ist or whatever. I've been blocked by some people that I've never even met. And I'm like, why did she block me? That's so weird. We've never exchanged at all. And it's just that I diverge too much. And I mean, obviously, I'm not so conservative that I don't do porn, right? Like that's not the thing, but I just value individual freedom more than anything. I value extreme ownership. So when it comes to people that blame someone like me or Brandi for their ailments, that doesn't make sense to me, right? Like you're just as likely to be addicted to something else. And this just happens to be your medium. And then if you want to take it further, all of the neuroscience to date suggests that there is no such thing as porn or sex addiction, right? It's like it's more of a compulsion issue or a procrastination issue. So again, you're pointing out something that doesn't really even exist and has nothing to do with me, and it has everything to do with like that person that's going through that struggle. And it's not to take away from that, right? Like that sucks. And I hope whoever is dealing with that figures out a way to shift their mindset, because that's really what it is to shift their mindset to have a better and like more loving reality. But to like demonize us because we have these beliefs doesn't make sense. And then we're left with nothing, right? Like I have very few friends in the industry because I don't agree. I've lived in the South for most of my life. I also would say, like, you know, I'm very patriotic. I tend to line more up with conservative values. That's not to say every conservative value, right? Like Second Amendment, amazing. Weed, also, why is that not legal everywhere? Like, you know, support gay rights. Like, it's to hit me with the topic and then I can give you my opinion. But on, like, from the industry standpoint, it's like, well, if I left, and I'm sure Brandi's like aware with the situation. I left like right when there was a lot of issues with like trans performers coming into mainstream, and that caused like a lot of damage. Like someone actually took their life over this kind of stuff. And I was pretty vocal about it because one of the people that led the dog pile was then hosting a show. And I was like, this is such bullshit. Like, this is a really bad look. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, she's transphobic. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I have trans friends. Like, that's not what this is about at all. And they just like, if you're again not like on the extreme end, then you're this terrible person. And they don't take the time to even have a conversation with you to see what you actually believe or what your principles are, or if you are a good person. It's just like, you are this. You voted this way. You must be racist. You must be transphobic. You must hate all immigrants. Like, they just like throw everything at the wall at you.
Yeah, I completely concur. I had an extremely similar experience. And what's super bizarre is when you don't conform to the mentality or reform, and usually even then it's too late because they'll hold everything against you that you did before. So always stay true in your beliefs. But they throw the words at you. First they try bigot, then they try racist, then they try homophobe, then they say transphobe, or whatever your phobia. There's a phobia for everything. And trust me, they'll go through the whole list. And then they'll even throw in potentially pedophile. That's the one that they figure clearly will shut you down. And I bring this up because that's what the white nationalists are pushing. I mean, it's so egregious and so clear. They're at least they're consistent. So you can see it coming. Racist, racist, racist. Damn, that didn't work. Bigot, 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 bigot. Shoot, that didn't work. So that's not just what I dealt with this weekend and still dealing with. I'm sure when I put my Twitter back on, I'm going to have some fun. But within our own industry, that's happening. And what's incredibly bizarre to me is that in general, the adult industry's left, and they're very much my body, my choice, except for when you don't believe as they do regarding what you want to do with your body. Right. And that is because you don't want to do a scene with a trans person. Why does that make you trans? Why does that make you have a phobia about them? They're human. They're probably fabulous. I don't know. Never met them. That's my choice. Oh my God, you're horrible. Or vice versa. You don't want to work with somebody who is a crossover. You don't want to work with that human because that's not your thing. You should have that right. Well, it's my body. Why don't I get to choose who I have sex with? Just because I'm a porn star doesn't mean I sleep with who you want me to, or you want me to, or you want me to. And I know, Candice, that you dealt with that as well. And I still don't get it. I genuinely do not understand how you can be both my body, my choice, and scream at others who don't do what you want them to do.
It's almost like they're like your body, my choice. Which
well,
is like,
that is what it's become. And if you don't do it, they attack, and it's a collective attack. They're organized. They get together and they make the decision and they just pound. What they don't understand about people like Candice and myself is we'll pound back. You're not going to change me because you're mean.
Yeah, I think it's you guys. The two of you are actually braver working in your industry and having the views that you have than like just about anybody else. It's so much braver to like, even Brandi, for you to just like go to the Turning Point event. Like you knew that you kind of whatever risked being recognized, and I'm sure part of you was prepared for either some kind of something. I'm sure you planned to go to this event and you weren't thinking nothing will happen, no one will recognize me, I will have zero conflict.
No, of course I didn't think
but
that.
You still go, you still went.
And the reason behind that was genuinely because of my belief that these conservatives did hold true the inclusive statements that they make, and that they're anti-cancel culture, welcome all with these views. So yes, in my core, because I know human nature, I was a little bit like, okay, I'm going to give it a try because I have every right to go. But yeah, I've been through this before. I know there's a possibility. So when it happened, it's like right into the core. And then you collect yourself, you get over it, and you go, okay, now what? Mm-hmm. Now what? And Twitter decided what? I didn't take it to Twitter. They did. I'm dealing with it. You just deal with what's thrown at you and you carry on.
And then back to what we were talking about before, like the whole, like, your body, my choice thing. Wasn't it August Ames? Is that her name? Yeah. She was bullied so much for refusing to work with a guy who had done like either gay scenes or had like slept with another guy, and again, it's perfectly reasonable requests. Like, just because you're a painter doesn't mean you have to, be like, this is a terrible metaphor, but like there are some people you can choose not to work with.
Well, to give it more context, so like the reason why it's an issue, and a lot of like civilians don't know this, right? Because they're not aware of our testing, and shame on anyone in the industry that did participate in that dog pile, because most people, especially vets, know the testing differences. So the issue is, and she made clear, I'm pretty certain on her Twitter, like during this back and forth when it was like the heat of that dog pile, was when you are shooting for gay porn, like the gay side of the industry, you're allowed to be HIV positive. So you can still shoot HIV positive.
I know that.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
Yeah, that's the issue. So then when they cross over to straight porn, you don't know who and when they might have been exposed to that. Also, those companies that are shooting a lot of the gay porn, they're picking people off the street and then just throwing them in to get tested really quick, and then they're doing a scene. And obviously there's a window of error when it comes to testing. Like if you're not in that sweet zone, it's very possible that you do have something that just wasn't detected yet because it's not enough to show up on a test. So there is like a real concern when it comes to shooting with those people. So it's not like, oh, I'm just not into it, right? There's a serious safety measure that's just different. If testing was the same across the board, then I'm sure there'd probably be a lot more people that are comfortable with it, but that still doesn't mean that you have to be. And I remember I did one of my last like showcases I did before I got out of mainstream was for Blacked, and then everyone had an opinion on that. So you had, well, I can't believe she waited this long, she must be racist. And then other people were like, well, she shot for a company named Black, so she must be racist. And then you have the actual racist people coming out that are like, I can't believe you shot with a black man, I'll never watch you again. So you had it from all angles. And you're like, this is insane. This is my body, and I get to decide who I'm attracted to and who I want to sleep with. And I don't care if it pisses you off. You know what I mean? Like, that's my choice.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, Candice. Like, I had no idea about the testing. And it's also something where if someone had maybe come to bat for August and brought this up, and maybe,
people did. There were a few people that did, and those people ended up getting attacked online too, because they're like, how dare you guys are bigots. And it's like, that's not it. And most people knew that she did struggle with like some, mental illness, and that she was a very sensitive person. So to like go after her like that was just so cruel and so wrong. And I don't know, it still bothers me. Like I get goosebumps. It was a really messed up situation.
It's not easy. It's not an easy industry to work in, and it's not easy to have these beliefs. Question from the chat, Joe Giannotti. There's no difference between what happened to Brandi, banned from the TPUSA's event, to doctors like Zev Zynico and Drew Pinsky being censored. Censoring/banning people is very dangerous. Hashtag free Brandi Love. Free Brandi.
I could not say it better. He's 100% right that censorship in any way is not this country. And yes, we're all experiencing it. I mean, when a big tech can take the president of the United States off of their platform, again, really? So, and you're seeing what's happening. I mean, how many entertainers in the adult industry were banned from Instagram? Some of them may have broken their rules, but a lot of them didn't. I know women who are behind the scenes in the adult industry who don't have any pictures of the adult nature on their profiles, and they got banned. They got taken down. So the censorship is one of the biggest problems right now, no doubt. Our freedoms are being taken away, and that's one of the biggest ways.
And it's not stopping with social media censorship. I mean, I think the White House is even talking about, like, well, once you're banned from one social media, you should be banned from all of them, which is so Chinese.
And monitoring like SMS messages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another little comment that I missed from the Ginger Ninja. That is hard to pronounce. Hail, Chrissy, Candice, and Brandi. You are inspiring. I guess the R is for R-rated. Thank you.
We're that too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I always like to think that there's a lesson and then there's a reason for everything that happens, even if it's shitty at first. It's like maybe this conversation needs to happen, and unfortunately, it's kind of pointed at you, Brandi. But I mean, I know that you're strong enough to handle whatever's coming at you, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like you're kind of a good spokesperson for this thing. I don't know.
Look, the first punch always hurts, and I'm an extremely lucky woman to have an amazing husband who's my rock and keeps me grounded. Because again, that first punch can, your head's shaking and you're going, which way is up? And emotions get high, and he calms me down. And through the years of attacks, and Candice, you might be able to speak to this too, through the things that happen within the adult industry just a year ago, the cancel culture. Those of us who are more like-minded and not for censorship and banning and cancel culture, we found each other. I mean, Candice, I think that's how we connected. Yeah. And there's a handful of other women who I've known for a decade who I didn't know we had similarities. And we connected. And I looked at my husband and said, my God, I've been in this industry 16 years and I have more close friendships within it than I ever have. So you're right, Chrissy. Sometimes good things come out of very difficult situations.
Okay. I want to make sure I get these super chats. Patrick, the other Morrissey, I support your right to believe what you do and not just because I agree. This old veteran appreciates you standing up and being heard. Thank you for your service, Patrick.
Yes, Patrick, you're a rock star.
I want to make sure if I missed your guys' super chats and questions, I am so sorry, but this chat's flying by. Okay, here's another one. Oh God, something else I can't pronounce. Ladzalov Vankov for 125. Is this a currency? Looks like a hair dryer. 125. Thank you so much. Whatever it is, it looks like a lot. Naughty FF topic question for Eva and Brandi. Have they ever had shower bonings with a male co-star after shooting a scene? Well, I guess this was expected.
Yeah, actually, yes. I'm trying to remember if it was before or after, but either way, it was in the shower.
I would say the closest I've ever gotten, and this is like, I think it's hilarious. So I was paid a ton of money for my anal showcase. Wasn't actually my first anal scene. So I had shot with somebody and it was supposed to be a regular scene, but like, I'm just like really into this person. So we did a position where you couldn't see. And we did that instead. And then somehow it like kind of got out and everyone's like, oh my God, that wasn't Eva's first anal. If you look close enough on this other scene, I'm like, holy shit.
Oops.
Yeah. Oops.
Wow.
Yeah. That's like the naughtiest I've been.
Ooh, thank you for I got to figure out what kind of currency that is. Slav. Okay, I'm trying to get to all these super chat questions. Neil, thank you for having a name I can pronounce. What's the conservative case for porn? Real?
I don't get it.
What's the conservative case
words.
What's the conservative case for porn? I wonder if he means
he's talking about social conservative. He's saying, and I this is the argument, and that's fair. They're saying that social conservatives do not believe there's any place for a porn star because they're anti. It's a right-wing situation. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not here to tell you that it is. It's the 80% versus 20% or 90-10. There's the one issue that I don't agree with. Does that mean that I don't get to have any conservative views? I'm not sure if that's what he is referring to, but that's what it looked like.
Right. And morality is a slippery slope too, because that's changed throughout our entire existence as human beings. We have actually like gone through this crazy puritanical like rigidity, right? Like before religion was like really spread, and I don't know, we were running around naked, and there's a lot of biological evidence, like evolutionary biology, that suggests that women even weren't monogamous. Like we are not monogamous creatures. Like it was very often that when you're ovulating, that you would have sex with like multiple people in that 3-day window, like up to like 25, I think the numbers I've heard, to get like the most.
And I'm a slut.
Right, to get like the best sperm possible.
Let the sperm fight it out. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
It's called sperm wars, actually. And then there's like 3 different types of sperm now that are like that have evolved to fight off other sperm, and the only way that would exist is if a woman had multiple partners during an ovulation window. And anyone who's interested in that, like Sex at Dawn is a really, really good book. And so is like A Billion Wicked Thoughts. So
wow, that
again, like
fun.
that's evolved as society has changed. So if you're like, well, this is wrong strictly because I say that this is the moral code, well, that changes. That's always subject to change. So I think we just need to have like, the standards, like don't kill each other, don't impede on like my God-given freedoms, and go about your day. But as far as like policing morality, that's a real problem.
It's a huge problem.
Here's another super chat I missed, but was texted to me by my producer. Okay, from K Max McDonald. With what you can say on YouTube, what is the porn industry's policy on COVID and the jab? Is it required to have to work? Your views. And again, yeah, keeping in mind, well, we all know what we can and can't say on YouTube. Yeah. But if you can answer that.
I don't. So if I do, too bad. I'm not sure what those rules are. Apparently, I'm a rule breaker anyway. What's happening right now? I was out in Vegas just 3 weeks ago, and it's very possible that it's changed again. They are trying to continually comply with the higher ups, which I can't personally speak on whom that is. It's interesting because the last time I heard, it's also being the individual directors and or companies are being able to choose. But the general consensus is a 24 to 48 hour COVID test is necessary to shoot. A vaccine is not. It is not currently mandated or a requirement, but a 24 to 48 hour, depending on whom you're working with, is.
And I think it was Luke Longley who was telling me that you have to go to 2 different sites for regular testing, for STD panel testing, and then for COVID shots, or has that, or not shots, testing?
I heard that they were actually trying to allow people to get tested outside of the pass system. That way that they could get tested for COVID, because the pass wasn't set up to, I guess, have that information. And that's a huge, huge, huge problem, because that just opens up the doors for fraudulent tests. And it's not like the industry hasn't seen that before. So you're more worried about something that, I mean, let's just be honest, like that age group isn't in a very dangerous position for COVID. And it's not to say, right, like there's not a risk, all of that. We all know that by now, right? But it is to say, like, what is riskier? Is someone lying about an HIV test? Is someone lying about a syphilis test? So PASS was specifically created for the adult industry to try to safeguard the performers. And if you just allow people to start testing outside of that, out of convenience or out of a political move, I don't know. I would just say I'm glad I'm not shooting mainstream anymore.
If that is the case, Candice, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Everybody that I shot with last month was talent tested. We all had the same.
Mm-hmm.
We were all sharing, how it goes. I didn't see anything that wasn't talent testing. So
good.
I'm not aware of that, but trust me, I'll be keeping my eyes open because that's the only test I accept.
I was talking to, what is her name? She's one of the co-hosts for Two Girls, One Mic, something Kennedy. And she was the one that was telling me about it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Another question from the chat, Mr. Tickle Trunk.
That's great.
Probably a fan of all three of ours, to be honest. Buck Angel, who I adore. Buck Angel suffered the same BS from the left. I think you'd get along great, and it would be a good discussion. Pause, a sharp guy. Yeah. Do you guys both know who Buck Angel is? Buck Angel is a female to male transgender porn performer, but he kept his original genitals. I think I said that right.
Well, he always says he says I have a vagina.
Yes, yeah, he's the man with a vagina. But I had him on my podcast, I think last year, very open about the fact that he has gender dysmorphia, very anti giving kids hormones, pretty red pilled, pretty awake in many senses, but very, very aware of his sort of mental illness, gender dysphoria, and isn't is not one of these trans people who's like, biology doesn't exist, men and women are the same. So very much a breath of fresh air, and he was very much ostracized from friends, family, coworkers, same kind of a thing. It's like, you're not the textbook what a trans performer should be.
He gets called transphobic on Twitter. That's how ridiculous the space is. He's like, I'm a trans man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Let's see. I got that one. What about my old friend bracket hashtag. Does the porn industry hate Mia Khalifa? Oh, isn't she the one that was kind of I don't know. Wasn't she like a civilian? I don't know. I don't really know her backstory.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. I've never met her, so I mean, maybe I'm not in a position to have the opinion that I do. But I don't like people not taking ownership over their decisions. So if you show up to set, first of all, you have to be 18 to shoot porn, right? So you're an adult. If you show up to a set and they give you a hijab, and they say, I want you to wear this hijab and shoot, you know the shitstorm that's about to come your way if you consent to that. Do you know what I mean? And you know you're not getting royalties. That's very clear. You sign like a 5-page contract before every single set. You're very aware of what you're about to get yourself into if you go into it with a sober mind. So she kind of did these scenes, got a lot more heat than I guess maybe she had anticipated. And then instead of just owning that mistake, quickly put on the victim hat and was like, I just didn't know, and I wasn't really paid enough, and they won't take them down. Of course, you don't own that scene. You can't take it down. What are you talking about? And then she figured out, and this is me connecting the dots, it's easier to be like a redeemed whore than a conscious whore, right? So as long as you're seeking forgiveness, it's fine.
There's so many t-shirt slogans on this episode, by the way.
If you're consciously saying this is who I authentically am and I'm making these decisions good, right, or indifferent, or good, wrong, or indifferent, then that's a problem. But if you're like, I'm so sorry, I just was, silly me, I'm just a dumb girl, forgive me, I can't. I don't respect that.
What she said.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
that's fair. That's a very fair commentary. But I too I've never met her, so I've never had a conversation with her.
Question from Robert Von Darth. Does not aggressive.
I don't understand that question.
Uh-oh. This is not a question. All right, I didn't see a question mark. Thank you for the super chat, Robert. Just making good points here. If I missed your super chat, I'm so sorry. The way this works is that it scrolls away from me. Okay, another question from Easygoing Sal. Candice and Brandi, what major policy change would you fight for? This is like a Miss America question.
That is a Miss America question.
Peace and love to all.
Oh man.
For me, I know he didn't ask me, but for me, like right now, the biggest thing I think is tech censorship. Like that's very scary to me. And it's like one party does not get to determine everyone's expression. It's linked in with cancel culture. The offended, loud, annoying few do not get to determine content for everybody else.
So basically making social media as a utility, like having to actually act as a utility instead of just getting the tax exemptions and
right,
such.
not being an whatever, not an aggregator, not being you get to like pick and choose.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good one. It's tough. I think that's super important. I think that's probably one of the most important ones to get ahead of is just figuring out how do you kind of break apart these companies that are too big in this issue that we've never seen before, not prepared before. It's like almost we did capitalism too well. So now what do we do? Kind of a thing. I would say also, it's one of the executive orders that was passed. And it's like the one it's causing a lot of issues when it comes to like self-identifying. Like for me, I think it's ridiculous that you can have a biological male be competing in sports with biological females. I also find it a problem that someone can self-identify and go into the girls' restroom where there are children, where that child is unsupervised, and like that's very dangerous to me. So that's one of the things that as a parent I'm very concerned about. So I think those two.
Both are exceptional, both extremely important for so very many reasons. And big tech, going to go back to that, since when did big tech and corporations get involved in government? It's a huge problem. And just the sheer ability for them to censor free speech is just an enormous issue for me, and should be for all of us. And it is for people until they're the ones censored. Do you know what I mean? So it's
absolutely
ahead of it. It shouldn't just become your problem when they don't like what you say. We need to be very aware that they're coming for you.
And that is so hard to see, like when your team or your side is winning. Like I always come back to that as an issue with comedy. And it's like, how can you be a stand-up comic and not like livid about what's happening to free speech right now? And it's like they don't see it, they don't hear it because their guy won, and they just seem to be sort of like controlling culture. But I feel like that, I don't know, I feel like that's not the case.
Well, that's an identity issue too, right? It's like over-identifying with any group. It's like you're not those things. And think of how many times you've had a really deep-rooted belief that's just changed throughout your life because you were presented with more information or just more experience. So to identify that, to create your sense of self around that is the problem alone, right? Like that kind of magnifies everything. And then also there's like this really good thought exercise, which is if you think something's okay because your team's winning, you have to take whatever that policy is or that rule is and hand it over to the opposition. So are you okay with this if I hand it over to the other guy? And if the answer is yes, then that's great. But if the answer is no, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another. Oh, sorry, Brandi, were you going to say something?
No, I just 100% agree with that statement.
We're crushing it, by the way. This is a great episode. Okay, another super chat I missed from K-Max. So sorry, I'm missing your super chats, K-Max. Don't take it personally. Brandi, I saw you tweet about Kid Rock. Do you feel that his checkered past would get less attention at a GOP event? Is it a clear double standard?
It's an extremely clear double standard. Again, Kid Rock is... I don't know what he would say about me, but I can say that I stand behind him. I think he's an exceptional vision of the American dream. His life has gone through every single type of episode. I can't speak for him. I don't know him, but we're familiar with his addictions. We're familiar with marriages and children and this type of music, then this type of music. And then he becomes a conservative, a vocal conservative. And as one who identifies as that, I'm big tent, man. I'm about inclusion. I don't do what the conservatives currently are preaching. I actually do believe, yes, you've got these things aligned. Let's go. So based on what I experienced this weekend with the GOP having an issue with Kid Rock, they might. I mean, they might. Should they? In my opinion, hell no. Get in here. He's an amazing example of a patriot, in my opinion. I haven't seen anything other than proof of that. We all have a history. What anybody did yesterday isn't what concerns me. What are you doing today? That should be what we care about.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is a question from our comment from Robert Von Darth. My apologies for the confusion. Those are conservative values in alignment with porn. God bless the porn stars. They are a blessing to us all. Yes, I know. People are so quick to talk about the negatives of porn. I think most people, because they're probably not talking about it, but I think porn has probably like saved a lot of relationships. Porn has spiced up a lot of relationships. The only porn watchers are not addicted people, that are overindulging. There's lots of people who watch porn, and it sounds so weird to say like use it responsibly, but like any other vice, right? That are just, it's helped them. It's spiced up. I'm sure it's saved more marriages than it's split up. I don't know. People are going to probably jump down my throat for that one. But
there's actually a lot of science behind that too. So there's a lot of privately funded science because anytime you mention sex or orgasm, the federal funding just disappears. So it almost has to always be private or go to Europe or
you
Canada.
can't come. Yeah.
No, yeah, they were just like, we are not funding this, right? So there's actually a lot of comparative science that's going. Do you know what MAPS is? It's
yeah. Like
Johns Hopkins. They're doing a lot of research with psychedelics. They're actually finding that the closest that you can get, and sometimes even more powerful than using something like psilocybin, is actually a female orgasm and an orgasm in general. And it doesn't matter if it's through masturbation, through visualization, or with an actual other partner. The benefits are the same. So you're actually achieving these moments of transcendence and actual physical healing, mental healing. It's a healthy coping mechanism, which you've actually been told to counter throughout our lifetime, right? Like if you have to masturbate to relieve stress, then there's something wrong with you. The neuroscientist that's actually doing the studies is Nicole Prouse, if anyone wants to look her up. But she's doing a lot of research and comparing it to these century-old experiences that you're having with psychedelics. So you're 100% right. It does heal yourself. It can heal relationships. It's a great thing to do to like break up that monotony, and it's a great stress reliever. And again, it's like the alchemist cookbook, right? The difference between a tonic and a toxin, and a tonic and a toxin is the dosage, and that's with anything.
Wow, Candice, bringing the facts.
Yep, everything in moderation, no doubt. And they're not my emails to share, but I have through the years received, on that note, emails from couples where he and she are writing me, whether it's about questions about how to spice up the love life, questions about how after 27 years of an incredible marriage, are we still happy, blah, 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 a million different questions. And sometimes they're just, thank you. My wife and I love watching your scenes. It's really spiced up our relationship. And there to me, there's no bigger compliment. Are all of the stories that? No, but enough of them for me to feel like, yeah, this is great. This is cool. There are healthy benefits. And to your point, again, everything in moderation. If somebody takes, somebody has a glass of wine, no problem. Somebody drinks 4 bottles. That's a huge problem. Mm-hmm. Is it the winemaker's fault, or is it the fact that you have no impulse control? Absolutely. I mean, again, it's human nature. It's easier to blame the winemaker. It's easier to blame the porn star, but you're the one who can't control yourself. It is a very much a personal issue.
Absolutely. I have to bring up the super chat because it makes me laugh. This person super chatted to say, you skipped my original super chat, but then didn't repeat their question.
Oh, no.
Because what happens is if I miss your super chat, it's because it scrolls, and then I can't scroll back and I can't find it, even if it's like in the past. So anyway, misfit. Well, thanks for the $2. A couple of, there was a lot of tweets about you, Brandi, and still are. There probably even more as we've been talking. But I know this is Tommy Lauren was someone who Candice and I both were pleasantly surprised to see that, who kind of came out like, on your side. She said, conservatism is for everyone. The you can't sit with us mentality is ridiculous, petty, and not helpful. And now, of course, there's this Nazi photo right here. Great. And she's got fans.
And it's people like that and tweets like that that do give me hope that there's more of us out there with a mentality similar to mine versus different than mine. Twitter's full of hate. I mean, we all know that. We know who's on there as a majority. So you're going to get, when you first open Twitter, you go, oh my God, this is absolutely, for about 12 hours, I was like, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen. I've never seen people use these words or scream at each other. It wasn't just coming at me. Then these people were fighting with these people. It was just, it was really wild. And then as the dust starts to settle and some minds that are open follow and are looking and are going, whoa, that's not okay. That's really bizarre. And people and tweets like that, I start to go, okay, people are seeing the critical thinkers out there, people that are rational, people that are logical are coming around. And that's all I could ask for. I'm glad to see that happening. So it's not about me. It's about people discovering for themselves the insanity that is happening in our world right now.
I saw Matt Walsh had a lot of tweets on this. He was the conservative who famously raised $100,000 for AOC's abuela. I don't know. I don't think that money actually made it to her, but that was kind of
she denied it
quite a bit. Yeah, she denied it. Surprise. Here's him tweeting. This is again like 8 hours, a lifetime ago. She was just there to attend, not to promote her porn. She had her porn stage name on her VIP badge. You idiots, clearly using the event to promote her, quote, business. I know you aren't all as stupid as you're pretending to be. See, again, this is a person who didn't really, I'm sure it looks cool to tweet this out. And it's like you get virtue signaling points from your base, but not accurate. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe it just sounds cool. It's better to sound cool than to be right, I guess. And here's another tweet from him. If a 48-year-old hardcore porn star really wants to listen and learn, there are many forums where she can do that. A conference for conservative teenagers, which it wasn't, while wearing a VIP badge is not the appropriate context. Oh, really, Brandi? You're supposed to just like never leave your house. You're supposed to curl up and put a bag over your head and not do anything. Did you know that?
I won't even comment about him because I can't get back the time I wasted reading his tweets.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah. I don't know. I just was like, I just bring him up to be like, oh, wow. Like, as we've gone over the points here, a lot of these haters.
He's a shock jock. Don't let him fool you.
Yeah. A lot of these people just factually inaccurate. But that's why I'm so glad that you came on to talk, because now I'll be interested to see if there are a lot of deleted tweets. In the coming days.
Not on my end, there won't be.
That's why we love you. From Easy Going Sal, Candice and Brandi, how will you use your influence to fight tech censorship? Another Miss America question. I love it.
My answer is, however somebody who can actually make a difference can utilize me. If somebody gives me a call and says we could really use your help, and it could be effective, 100% I'll be there.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because it's like you have these very powerful people that still aren't really making a dent. So it's unfortunately one of those things. It's like, well, what influence could I possibly have? And I would just hope to like influence my listeners, my followers, on the importance of free speech. And then if you have enough people that are saying like this matters and we're not going to let it go, then maybe that can cause some change. But me, myself, I don't expect to do anything but hopefully just influence other people to find that as an important pillar in their life.
As long as we're allowed on the platforms, we'll be able to continue to do that, Candice. And let's just hope that that is the case, because look, there's a lot of people making a lot of comments like that guy that we just had on the screen. Who, do I agree with him? Absolutely no. Maybe on a few topics. Honestly, there might be a few things that we actually could agree upon, but his true characters come out as a person, not as his persona or whatever he does. I saw a side of him that I hadn't seen, and I'm very aware of who he is. I don't want him taken down. I don't agree with him, but I don't think he should be taken off a platform. Biden's on Twitter, Trump's not. They're totally different and opposite in views, but why does either one of them get kicked off? They should both be able to be on there. So like you said, Candice, continuing to push that. I don't like the word narrative for obvious reasons, but that concept that we all need to work together to ensure that none of us are taken off and that we all have the right to our opinions and our freedom of speech. That's really, until I know otherwise, that's all we can do.
And I think the two of you just continuing to do what you're already doing is fighting tech censorship, because like the more of us with kind of like moderate views that are out there and being silenced, it makes people see like, oh, wow, this is not just happening to people on the far, far left and the far, far right. It's moving in closer and closer to the middle every day. All right. This was a nice palate cleanser. You ladies are amazing. What's your daily workout? I mean, do we have time for all this? Good Lord.
Personally, I do a 12 to 16 hour fast. It's my lifestyle. It's not a diet. It's my lifestyle. I drink a lot of water, and I'm several small meals throughout the day, and then dinner. So other than that, it's just consistency in the gym and cardio.
How many calories does doing Kegels burn? That's what I want to know. I'm not doing enough, if that's the case. All right.
I don't know. Give me a minute.
And mine depends on the week. It's like some days or some weeks I'm amazing and I go to the gym 5 times that week, and then other times I don't go at all. I also have a horse, so I spend a lot of time like doing that, and that's pretty active. But as far as diet, like I don't know, I eat everything that I want and just like hope not too much of it doesn't stick.
Aw, I love it. Let's see. Comment from Foo Google. Turning Point is just a faction to control grassroots people. They are not interested in letting grassroots ideas spread. You are both great. Stay strong. Ooh, I love it.
Correct. They're correct, and appreciate the comment.
Let's see. Go. Okay, this is from Daniel Donnelly. Both Candice and Brandi would have a home with us. It's like you're orphans. Both Candice and Brandi would have a home with us libertarians. As long as they oppose forcing their values on others, we warmly welcome any consensual lifestyle. Daniel sounds horny. I love it. All right, just what did I miss? Okay. Let's start to wrap this up. I want to make sure I'm scrolling through. Patrick, the other Morrissey. Finally, I have the 3 of you on the same screen. Naked would be great, but I'm happy. Yes, this is a clothed podcast. All right. Lordy. Okay. I think that might be it for the super chats. Yeah, I know you guys have to run. I have to run too. This was great. I feel like we covered everything. Brandi, I feel like you got to fully tell your story. I feel like we fully talked about every aspect of what happened to you, and it's, good for people to hear it straight from you instead of making assumptions and just saying whatever they want for likes and retweets.
Some still will, and that's okay. I think people are the truth is going to get out there enough over the course of the next couple of days. If people choose to still not believe the truth, there's nothing we can do about it. But I'm very, very grateful, Chrissy, that you allowed me the opportunity. And Candice, of course, your commentary is always interesting, exciting, and intellectual. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
This was great. And quick plugs for the 2 of you. Where can people find you, follow you, support you, check out your work, etc.? Candice.
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's Lovia Longtime, Lovia. You can also find my podcast at chattingwithcandice.com. Those are the 2 places I'm the most active.
And for me, most active is my OnlyFans, onlybrandi.com. And then my Twitter handle is Brandi_love.
Ooh, awesome. Oh, and me? Yes, follow the Chrissy Mayer podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. Check out the What Spot, Mondays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Compound Media. Also, I do some exclusive content on the Rockfin, where we have uncensored conversations that you can't talk about on YouTube. All the no topics go there. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you, chat, for watching, for commenting. I'm so sorry if I missed anybody's chats. Maybe tweet them at me or something. This was great. Love you both so much. Stay strong, Brandi. Fuck the haters. And literally, figuratively, whatever works for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye. Have a great night.